Is this 4 or 5? 5?
This many times.
This many times.
When we get to this many times, then you go out that door and get the hell out of my office, because we are done.
Hey there, Bob from Oregon's Constant Gardener. Welcome to the OCGFAM show to you, my YouTube buddies. What's going on? Let me know in the comments. I have little hand gestures that go along with this thing. So, we're here with Scott for viewer questions. The Big Kahuna. People are still saying Big Kahuna in the comments. So I have a question for you. Now, this was actually Phil Bellinger that asked this, but a bunch of people have asked it. So they, the feed tea, feed flush.
Yep.
They're like, I understand, I get it. I need microbes in my
food. I live in an apartment. I can't do a whole tea. I can't brew up a whole compost bucket at a time. I can't do 30 gallons. I don't have time. I don't want to clean it. I don't want to deal with the hassle of teas.
What do you do?
Simplify. Simplify by using a microbial product by a manufacturer like Cultured, SLF, Microbe Life. There's a ton of them. There's Sea Green. There's the ones that are on our website.
Yeah. Those are the ones on our website, but there's many others that are just fine.
They really are. And you know, there's modern microbes. All these microbes that basically you're adding in as a microbial on the tea day. So when we say tea, what we're really saying is we don't want to type out microbial every time you ask us how do you feed and what's your feeding schedule, because, you know, to me it's
all those letters.
Feed microbial versus feed tea. Really simple. Other than that, it's just you're looking to feed the plant twice. The excess of that food is going to be, you know, adhering to the medium, creating bonds with the media itself. The tea or the microbial day is designed to go in there and break those bonds and digest that material and turn it back into a food source for the plant. So you're still utilizing a feed day just by adding the microbes in to go in and eat the stuff that you put in for the last 2 feeds. So microbials meaning anything that's simple, from a spore form of culture where they grow in your soil versus microbe life that's, you know, living in the bottle, to, you know, SLF enzymes that are constantly living bacillus strains that are living and dying and creating their own cultures.
Well, let me ask you this. So if I was simplifying even more, and I'm using SLF, like most people are probably using SLF along with the line, and I wanted to cut back or make it simplify, could I use my SLF as my microbial and back off of my microbe life or my cultured, or they fulfill a different function, right?
Different function, and the diversity will win, and that's the thing. If you're only going mono, you're going to get a mono result. So diversity will get you a lot more from what you're putting in. When you're looking at things like the easy teas, you know, there's a reason why there's a veg easy tea and a bloom one.
Sure.
You know, so focus on that. Buy a small one and only use veg during the time that you're 24 hours or later, 18 hours and more. Once you go into bloom, then go to the bloom tea and simplify. But putting nitrogen fixing bacteria into the bloom stage, probably not your best bet. It's not going to hurt anything, but it's, you know, we don't want to fix nitrogen during the bloom. Yeah. And do we want phosphorus fixing as much as we do in the bloom? Do we want that as much in the veg? So
is that why we'd lean to a cultured a little over a Photo Plus?
Well, I mean, cultured, I think, is simplifying it to the simplest forms, and not to like demean it. It's just so simple that it's veg and bloom, where Microbe Life has a whole program where if you charge them at this time and this stage, and then you hit them for 4 days here, and then you go and transition to here and here and here.
It's a little much.
Well, they have a roadmap, and it's not a bad roadmap.
No, it's a good.
You got to be paying attention. And if you're lazy,
well,
or you
even they're not that committed to it.
They're not out here, but on the East Coast,
it's a thing.
They're very much committed to it, and the guys that are on board with it and get it, there's the model that's amazing.
Sure, they're making a lot out of it.
It's work. I mean, now you have to think on a new level. So, is there a good one and a bad one? Not with what we're offering. I think they're all awesome products, and I think they all have a benefit. It's just knowing when to use them when. What I like about Photo Plus is that it literally can be the entire stage. Yeah. Because there is that diversity there, and none of them are nitrogen or phosphorus fixing. They're more of like a broad compost.
Just a bunch of little things.
Things eating everything you put them in. So, yeah, good or bad.
Okay.
Keep it simple.
All right. Next question. Travis Torelli. Hey there, Bob. Thanks for all the info. Have you covered a transplant feed? I feel like less is more on transplant watering, but I want to hear what the Big Kahuna has to say.
You know what they call you on my emails? Okay. Anyway, what's Travis have to say?
Okay, well, let's just go into that one. So, is there anything about feeding right before or right after transplant that you would say is different from any other times?
I personally use mycorrhiza. So when I transplant, I'm putting the mycorrhiza in, and I don't feed on top of a mycorrhiza because a strong food in any sense can harm mycorrhizal spores. So when I transplant, it's water. And if I had a stress plant, I don't transplant it until it's not stressed.
Okay.
So pretty much at transplant, water only, mycorrhiza in the hole. That's going to create that inoculation. And then within a few days, what I'll do is come in with just a gentle Gaia or quarter to half strength, the transplant or the seedling schedule.
Would you do any kind of microbial stuff?
Yeah, mycorrhiza. It's a microbial.
Well, yeah, obviously, but I mean, like with a tea or anything of that nature, I guess. Is what I'm saying. It's its own microbial.
The fungus to attach and then go from there.
Okay.
So, and there's, I mean, depending on your potting soil, if you've got a decent potting soil, there should be microbes in there.
Sure.
Unless you're just using like straight cocoa, then mycorrhiza, and then maybe a beneficial like SLF or even Dr. Root or some kind of, a charge that will kind of get them there without putting a food source in. Don't put food sources in with your microbes in these spore forms because they are sensitive to phosphates and nitrates, and so just be gentle.
Fair enough. Do you ever see issues crop up after you've transplanted it? It gets unhappy, and is there anything you can do about those?
Oh yeah, plants don't like to be ripped from their home and put into another home, just kind of like us. I mean, we get situated and you take everything up, you disturb them. So a lot of times, I've always had transplant shock issues. It's something that's part of the game. However, if you do some preventative stuff, like I like to do a lot of foliar feeding pre going into transplants or cloning. By foliar feeding them, you kind of fix all that nutrition up into the top of the plants, or they're storing it up in the foliage, so when you go to transplant, they're not relying on the roots to go find that food as fast because they have a storage of excess food.
So do you just do that every time?
Yeah, I just foliar feed 3 to 4 days before I transplant, and then when you go to transplant, the shock is far less.
Okay, and you wouldn't after?
Oh, I foliar feed all the time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, if your plants are stressed and they stopped eating, feed them.
Yeah, okay.
They will still eat through their foliage. Nothing's blocking this. Something's happening.
So we're talking just water going down here with the mycorrhiza, but we're still foliar feeding all the way through this situation.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. Okay. Cool. All right. Eric Wren says, "Please." Oh, wait. We got more questions with this guy with Travis. A second question is what are your thoughts about using dehumidified water? She's talking about the water that collects in the dehumidifier and nectar to feed the plants. Can he use that water as part of his feed?
That's a loaded question, and I'll get attacked either way. So the reality of that is you shouldn't, only because you don't know what's in that water. I mean, it should be purified and clean water. The reality is if you have any mold or mildew or any kind of the spores are there, that could be in there. It is distilled at that point, so there's no nutritional value in that water. That's dead water, so there's nothing structured. It's been pulled out of the air in a realm of...
But it's distilled in a fashion. It is not like going through a still. It is
no. But rain is distilled water.
Yeah, sure. But this is not like it may have impurities in it.
So that would be my only concern is that if you have any mold, mildew, or any type of pathogen in the room, and you have to remember, dehumidifiers are taking that moisture, they're putting it through filtration, and then that water is falling out of suspension. Well, that filter could have 6 months of problems in there that is in trace amounts getting into the reservoir. It's not wrong. I've done it. I mean, I've done it for a long time, but when I start seeing issues and I can't figure out what it is, it's often because there's something growing in my filters of my dehu.
So it's not a slam dunk. You can certainly do it, but you need to be aware issues could crop up.
Just be warned. Yeah, It's not the best. I mean, it's such a great reuse of water.
Because it's there. What are you going to do? Yeah.
But if you're in little tiny pots and it could cause a problem down the road, and I know a lot of people jump in on this, there will be comments right here, mad with exclamation points in them. We know, but if you're in a tight spot and water is really expensive in your town, and it's not the worst thing you can do.
Okay. This is from Eric Wren. He says, please ask Scott to answer about using Bloom Chaos and Herc with the cutting edge line. Would you drop Plant Amp? Could I spray your plants with Plant Amp to help with Bloom Chaos? Or is it the wrong kind of calcium? So two things going on here. If you're using...
Because they have calcium chloride in Plant Amp.
So if you're doing Bloom Chaos and Herc with the cutting edge line, would you not use Plant Amp?
Cutting Edge is great, so we'll just start there as a precursor. We like the company, good people, awesome, inventive chemists. However, Plant Amp with ours, you can use it as a quick fix. I wouldn't use it repeatedly in that sense, especially if you're using Herc to balance your calcium. Mag Amp, for sure, use that, and just up your Herculean. But the calcium chloride in Plant Amp is really fast, it's really reactive, but it's too much. Eventually, your plant just doesn't want that much.
Do you think using with Cutting Edge, using Herc and Bloom Chaos with the Cutting Edge line, you're going to need more magnesium? That's why the Mag.
Well, it's their whole line. Their whole line requires it, and so I would be
pushing
following.
Hard.
Yeah, I
mean,
I'd follow their feeding
everything.
schedule and just add our Olympus up and Herculean into it, so that way you're getting the right pH to your calcium phosphate for your Chaos to work with. But Cutting Edge, we have a lot of people running both together. It really also depends on your medium in this situation. If you're in pure hydroponics, we'll see how the Herculean works for you in that situation. If you're in a cocoa or a soil medium, then I would just run the Herc, and I'd put the plant. I'd use the Plant Amp minimally. I'd keep it around, but I wouldn't be using it as my calcium supplement to Chaos. It's just a lot of calcium chloride to go into the plant.
But it might be doing other functions that work with what they got going. You'd be trying it and seeing how you'd be saying.
Well, we know it works together. There's no question. But
as far as the Plant Amp, though.
Well, I mean,
you don't want to pull it out.
Talk to Frank about that form of calcium, and the plants really respond to it initially, but long term, it's not the best source. And it's not a bad source. It's just not the source that we're looking for not to balance Chaos's need for calcium.
I gotcha. So it may do something good there, but it's not as far as it is the wrong calcium for the specific thing of Chaos. Yeah. I gotcha. Okay.
Great for their line.
Okay.
It works awesome.
All right. Clips, noose, whis.
Yeah, this is a tough question. I already approached Frank on it because I don't know.
Now, is this what's in... Okay, so let's just ask the question. Hey, Bob and Scott, I have a question about using potassium metabisulfite powder to get rid of chloramines, as it can't be gassed off, the chloramines. Wondering how the powder will react with Nectar. Is this what's in that dechlorinator from Microbe Life, or we don't know?
Don't know. I mean, Microbe Life would...
Theirs is kind of a salt kind of thing, too, and I'm assuming by the salt... I don't know.
Yeah, it's a double bonded sulfur.
Yeah.
And so in theory, that should lock up all the chloramines. However, we're not familiar with that powder or the use of it, and we're looking it up. So this might be something we have to review next week or the following, but we don't know. Or, email Microbe Life.
Well, that's not is that what they use?
I don't know, but I guarantee their scientists will know.
Yeah,
they got some pretty smart dudes there, so... I would reach out to Microbe Life with that question. Then let us know the answer.
Because they've got their product. He said that I was talking with Scott Burke from there. They sell a ton of that dechlorinator stuff.
Well, back east they use a lot of chlorine. I don't know if you've ever been to Florida, but you can't even freaking take a shower without getting poisoned from the chlorine in the freaking water. I mean, I've never seen so much chlorine or worse. I mean,
there's
fluoride in Florida. It's like you guys should never have a cavity on your pineal gland ever. Because you have so much fluoride in the water.
Okay. Jay King. Good show, Bob. Keep up the good work. Had a question.
Oh.
What's that? Oh.
Good show. Let's go.
Was thinking of starting to juice my leaves of my plant, and I was wondering if foliar or any of the Nectar products would not be recommended. Of course, everything would be well washed. Just curious. Thanks. So he's going to juice the leaves.
Yep.
Is foliar feeding an issue when you're juicing your leaves?
It should not be. I mean, unless you have a hyperallergy to things like kelp or fulvix or humics or, everything that's in Nectar products is something that is in your food stream. So, reach out if you've got a particular food allergy. But other than that, no, you should be fine. Always wash anything and everything. But we've literally drank everything we make, and we're still alive. I mean, I've got, stage 4 cancer in my testicles. But it wasn't from the Herculean harvest.
No.
It was from just washing them in chaos. And it doesn't make things any larger in that sense. So, that was a lost cause.
We've gone off the rails.
You're totally safe. Totally safe to juice the products. But definitely wash your plants. You're fine.
Okay. For more information about anything on today's show, go to our website, OCGFAM.com. And if you buy anything while you're there, use the code FAM20. It's going to save you 20%, and it's a lot of fun. The OCG Fam Show was pretty good. It happens every day. It's the OCG Fam Show. See you tomorrow.